And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interests me, and hopefully interests you, and another interesting week out there in the toy news department. A little bit slower, as of course we know San Diego Comic-Con, it's looming in the future here, and a lot of stuff is going to be announced, of course, at that show here in a couple of weeks. But we did get a few things announced throughout the week from all the different toy lines we like, so we're going to dive into it. But as we always do, going to start with a little housekeeping. Of course, Patreon, all you Patreon members out there, thank you for being a part of the Patreon, of course. And this week we're in a new month, July. Yes, July is here. Summer just flying by. But we got the July giveaway, and this month's giveaway on the Patreon, Ultimate Edition, Seth Rollins. We got Seth Rollins as the giveaway this month for Patreon members. Check it out. Link in the description below. And Patreon members, they're eating good right now, as there is so many videos up there early. Of course, well over probably a year and a half of Jack's Classic Superstars unboxings, a year and a half early up over there. But so much stuff has come out that we've talked about in weekly purchases the last couple of weeks. Even with doing 3 videos a day, there's too many figures. So I've got days, weeks, months, maybe even a year of figure unboxings over there and other videos, things like that. Also a brand new That's So Hard to Say Goodbye to a Groundhog. A bit of a controversial video. Had to put a disclaimer at the front of that video, so you'll see it eventually, maybe right now if you are a Patreon member. That is the Patreon giveaway this month for the month of July. But then we got to get into a few other things, and got to give a special shout out to my boy Ace, my dog, of course, Ace. He is 1 year in the family. Not 1 year old, but 1 year ago he came to live with us here today. I'll never forget the time we got Ace, of course. We documented it on the channel. I think it was the figure hunt of that week a year ago. So go check out that video if you want to see us on a trip to go pick up Ace for the first time. And Ace is, of course, settled in with the other dogs, Domino and Lemmy, and quite the pack have you seen in some of the videos there. So shout out to old Ace there. But let's dive into it. Let's get into the news of the week this week. And, of course, like I said, San Diego Comic-Con right around the corner. So a lot of things are a little bit more quiet than normal, but there is some stuff to talk about. And let's start it off with a little WWE Mattel like we usually do. Mattel, quiet this week. Of course, last week in the Toy News of the Week, we talked all about all the England announcements. They were over there in the UK for Money in the Bank, and a lot of announcements, a lot of things were shown off there, so very cool. Got to expect we'll see a lot of that stuff and more at San Diego Comic-Con in a couple of weeks. But Mattel did announce this week, speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, that they will have an all-star panel there on Thursday of San Diego Comic-Con, and of course, Wednesday is going to be preview night. You'll get to see everything. Thursday, they're going to have special guests, wrestlers, things like that, talking about some of this stuff. So we'll see what goes on in that panel. Can't wait to see what excitement comes from all that. But we will see some announcements. I'm still a little bit shocked. I think a lot of people know, and we've seen a lot of pictures out there, things like that, of old Muhammad Ali, one Muhammad Ali. But I got to think the shoe's going to drop fairly soon, as Mattel did just announce 12 days of fandom coming very soon. Should be about 12 days in a row, like, here is our Jurassic Park. Here is our He-Man. Here is our Barbie. Here is our Uno or whatever. I don't even know if they have Uno. I think that's Hasbro. But one of those days will, of course, be WWE, and then we will get the announcement officially of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And for what I know, there's more to the story than what people have seen. So very excited to see how this one all nets out, how they announce it, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, it will be up for sale online, probably like years past, and then also at the convention in San Diego. So much more to come on that one for the Mattel panel, but that was it. No other announcements this week out there. But that wasn't it for wrestling figure announcements. We got all those other companies to talk about. And let's talk about our little retro wrestling this week. Zombie Sailor coming in hot, showing on-card samples of Raven. I assume that means they are shipping fairly soon here. A lot of people are just upset about Zombie Sailor and the long waits we've had. I get it. I totally understand it. And I'm getting a little agitated on some of the waits from some of these companies as well. just over a year is just crazy. Everybody hates, and everybody, especially me, hates people sitting on my money. I understand it's just part of the game a little bit, but some of these are taking way longer, and it's just not a good scene, and I think it's turning off a lot of consumers at this point. We're not flying high again like a young Ozzy Osbourne like we were during COVID time frame with a lot of money coming through. People just don't have a year and a half to 2 years for companies to sit on their money. They're over it. They're sick of it. They want their stuff turned around. I don't think they expect, a week turnaround, but a couple of months, 3 months at the most, I think is what people are really hoping for. Obviously, immediate consumption would be the best, but we know that's not totally possible. But that being said, Zombie Sailor has said in the future, it's going to be a heck of a lot quicker turnaround because he had to get some money in the bank, had to sell his wares. Now he's been foot rolling things. Now he understands basically what is his MOQ or what is the quantity his fan base is going to purchase. He orders that with a little bit more, of course, but orders that to have it right away available. So we should be seeing that in the future. But long story short, Raven, it looks like him in Series 2 should be shipping fairly soon. And it looks like Series 3 officially going to be Jack Tunney, the one-man gang, Slick, and Power and Glory. A lot of Slick cohorts in that set there. So it looks like that one should be coming up for purchase order, pre-order, I should say, here in the next month or two, I would have to imagine. And then Zombie has said these should be a quick turnaround. So could we have these in hand, a month later, 2 months later, something like that? Very well could be the case there. So we'll have to stick tuned with Zombie, see what's going on there. But we did see those. Looks like Bastion Booger is probably going to be, I believe, didn't he announce this a while back? My memory's a little fuzzy, but I think that is going to be a New York Comic Con or New York Comic Fair exclusive, or is it going to be San Diego Comic Con? One of the big Comic Cons, he's going to have that as an exclusive, kind of like he did like Jeff Jarrett. And then Matt Cardona and Nick Gage going to be a special 2-pack. Have to think that'll be totally done separately there. So we'll wait and see on those as well. And then, of course, this week, we talked about it last week, Zombie Sailor does have a Bruce Lee figure coming. I'm not sure what to think about that. We talked about that a little bit more in depth last week in the Toy News of the Week, but we'll see. But if you want Zombie Sailor, the pre-order is up right now. If you need a little Bruce Lee in your life, that's the way to go from that one. So there's old Zombie. Now we turn our attention to old Grapplers and Gimmicks, old Hastel Toys. We did see old Greg Girard, and whenever I see the email come through, Greg Girard pre-order is up, I always think George Papard for some reason. That's what clicks in my head. I'm like, man, he's coming out with an A-Team line. Man, I'm here for it. I love it when a plan comes together just like a young Hannibal. Unfortunately, it isn't George Papard. I'm all into George Papard figure. Give me an A-Team set. And I know my buddy Iman out there, he's all in on an A-Team set. So we got two cosigns right there. But it looks like it's Greg Girard, who is more formerly known as Oscar from Men on a Mission, kind of their manager, their hype man. He is coming. Of course, you got to complete Men on a Mission, so you got to pre-order him. I got to go back. I can't remember if I pre-ordered him or not. There's so many things going on. I got to keep an Excel spreadsheet sometimes, but I might have to pre-order that, or maybe I already did. I'll double check after this video. But that is coming sooner rather than later. And then there was an announcement, a little artwork announcement. It looks like Coco Ware, old Coco Beware himself, is coming to the Grapplers and Gimmicks line. We'll see how that one goes as well. It isn't the most iconic Coco Beware. Of course, we all remember Frankie and the Bird, but this is more of our Jim the Anvil Neidhart time frame, tag team time frame. So we can match that old Hasbro possibly there, so it could be an interesting one. I'm sure I'll end up picking up Coco Ware as well, so an interesting one. And then we turn our attention to another retro company, one that's really on the clock, I would say. I would say Rush Collectibles and Epic Toys, and we're going to talk about both these right here. They're both on the clock more than any of them here. It seems like we've talked about these figures for years in a lot of ways, and we just haven't seen anything. Epic Toys, though, did show some pictures of kind of an assembly line. Here's all these Haku figures. They're all getting put there, shipping very soon. Well, they should be. It's been over a year at this point. We do understand the takeover of Cella, all that kind of stuff. I hope it's just a heck of a lot more smooth sailing after this. As boy, there has been bump after bump in the road, and I honestly do believe it's turned a lot of customers off, and it's going to be tough. An old wise man once told me, Kyle, he sat me down, and I use this with all the young kids at work too. He said, Kyle, you lose a customer a loaf at a time. You get them back a slice at a time. And I think that's where Epic Toys, Rush Collectibles, some of these, you lost them completely. It's going to take a lot of work on their part to get customers back. You lose them a loaf at a time, you gain them back a slice at a time. Think about it. And I think we'd honestly, if we take that business step back, A lot of us are probably in that circumstances with a lot of these toy lines here. So, fresh take, hot words here today on the channel. But Epic Toys supposedly shipping soon. We'll see what happens with that. Rush Collectibles, man, is it a conspiracy?
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
And it very well could be. It could be the top conspiracy, that or the Impact figures, which we're still kind of waiting for some official announcements. Heard a lot of people wanting to cancel their orders and Impact not getting back to them. I'm in the boat. I ordered the whole set. Haven't heard anything like everybody else, but I'm a little bit nervous about those figures. Supposedly coming by the end of summer. Fingers crossed, I don't know, but it's tough if people are trying to get a refund and not being able to get that refund. Man, that's a bad look as well. So we'll see what happens with those Impact figures. Rush Collectibles, another conspiracy is, of course, the ECW style figures. We've talked about that. They're supposed to have a whole line, and I think that's where Rush Collectibles really could have done some damage, really made themselves stick out from some of these other retro companies. Obviously, they still have the retros, but I think those ECW line really could be something special. I hope those do come to fruition, but it almost feels like that line is all but dead at this point. We'll see, but man, there was so much meat on the bone there, and something as an old school ECW fan would really have loved that line. We'll keep our fingers crossed, I guess. We'll see what happens, but we're still waiting for a Roadblock, and what else? Larry Zbyszko, Jonah, we're still waiting for all those. Will those come? Hopefully sooner or later. They've been saying that for the last 2 months or so, so we'll see what's up with those. But it sounds like there's going to be a superhero line from Rush Collectibles. Man, I don't know. I wouldn't say, if I'm them and I'm not them, it's their business. They can do what they want. Get the monster line out. Get some of these retros out. Get the ECW stuff out before you're announcing new lines of superheroes. You're just angering your consumer base at this point. Like, okay, you keep announcing stuff, but you haven't given me anything I pre-ordered well over a year ago. What's going on here? So we'll see what happens. Going to lay in the weeds, going to wait and see, and we'll report on it here in the weekly purchases and toy news every single week. So stay tuned for that. On to some more retro style news, but more of the retro WWE superstars style, I guess we would call this. Of course, Asylum Toys, another one I'm very, very much anticipating, especially that Road Warriors. They look absolutely phenomenal. We do know Ethan Page, of course, from AEW, is a part of this line as well. So they got some name credential behind the action figures, where not that others don't, but obviously he is a wrestler. He is a known wrestler, where Rush Collectibles doesn't have a wrestler behind them. Not that that's good or bad, but it does help bring them some name value at the end of the day. That's just the way it's going to be. But Asylum Series 2, of course, we know Eddie Guerrero is coming into that line. But they did announce this week, for the 4th of July, perfect time to announce it. Looks like Sergeant Slaughter is coming to the Asylum Wrestling figure line. And that's an interesting one, as Sergeant Slaughter, Macho Man, Andre, they've always had kind of these interesting contracts where they could go different ways. Now, we saw Sergeant Slaughter, of course, WWE figures, Superstar figures, Master WWE figures, all kinds of stuff over the years. Ultimate Editions, you name it. We also saw him with the Valaverse. We've also seen him with Hasbro G.I. Joe. Now we're going to see him with Asylum Toys. And from what I'm hearing, we're not done with some Sergeant Slaughter announcements. There may be some more Sergeant Slaughter figure announcements from other companies in the near future. We'll call it the near future. But Sergeant Slaughter, an all-time popular one. A guy that crosses over to different lines, of course, with the G.I. Joe fan base. So it is a slam dunk for Asylum. I think this was a smart pickup. Obviously, it was available to him. I'm sure Sergeant Slaughter isn't very cheap compared to some other wrestlers, but you get what you pay for most of the time with Sarge. So I'm anxious to get this Sergeant Slaughter in hand when the time comes. Isn't up for pre-order or anything like that, but I have to think later on this summer you will see that. But I think it's a lot of Sergeant Slaughter stuff coming in the future, so stay tuned for that as well. Now we turn our attention over to a few other things out there. This week, NECA did announce Elvira in red. If you missed the black Elvira, like I did, thankfully, Entertainment Earth came to bat. They had a restock of Elvira yesterday. I pulled the trigger, used discount code Kyle. I saved myself 10%, so I should have Elvira here maybe next week in the weekly purchases. But I needed Elvira to represent my collection. I just needed it done. Very happy to get that one. And now we got a red version. The verdict's still out on the red version. We'll see what happens. But we did see that this week. We also saw Todd McFarlane, a guy that doesn't waste any time ever. I'm the hardest working man in YouTube review videos. Man, he's the hardest working guy in the toy industry, no doubt about it. Todd McFarlane, man, all day long. I'm here for that. That's work ethic that I can appreciate for sure. And Todd coming in hot this week with Superman Hush, Tim Drake Robin, two very known properties, I guess. I mean, Superman's probably one of the most popular properties of all time. But Tim Drake, Robin, 90s nostalgia right there. We're getting that from the McFarlane Toys line. You can pick those up at Entertainment Earth. Use discount code Kyle, of course, as we always do say. But you also can, this week they did announce Batman 89. We talked about it week ago, 2 weeks ago in the toy news that a lot of people were wanting Batman 89, an iconic 89 Batmobile and Michael Keaton Batman. We did get him part of the Flash movie, a little bit different color patterns, just a little bit off. Now we're getting an OG one, and those did go up on Amazon on Friday. I was back and forth. I don't really need two Batmobiles. I don't know if it's that big of a deal to me, but a lot of people it was. Of course, for whatever reason, I was working. I was away from my house. I was working. I was out at a store. And the whole town, cell phones stopped working, internet stopped working. It was the weirdest thing. It's been a long time since I've been a part of that. So I totally missed everything. Missed it going up, missed it selling out, missed it coming back up, missed it selling out. So I guess it just wasn't in the cards for me to have this set. But a lot of people did get this. A lot of people will be happy. Sounds like McFarlane's going to put this back up multiple times as well. So if you missed it, you might have a second chance down the line. But that's a very popular one. But one I did find out about on Friday, and man, I'm here for this all day long, and twice on Sunday, is McFarlane Toys Amazon exclusive Swamp Thing. You guys know me. I love me some Swamp Thing, especially the movies in the 80s. Absolutely love Swamp Thing. So I'm here for this, and it is a glow-in-the-dark Swamp Thing. Amazon exclusive, taking a little bit from the GameStop exclusive, the regular one, kind of mixing them together with some of the body parts, the extra heads, in a deluxe package that glows in the dark as well. And bam, you got a new figure just like that. Getting the most out of your molds to the 10th degree is what McFarlane's doing. But man, I love me some Swamp Thing. I'll buy a 4th Swamp Thing. Why not? So now I have 4 of these figures, all different. Absolutely craziness right there. But if you're looking for Swamp Thing glow in the dark, head on over to Amazon. That's where that one is right now. Now we turn our attention over to Mezco, and it looks like for San Diego Comic-Con, we're going to get Mezco Wolverine exclusive. Not a ton of meat on the bone compared to the one we unboxed on the channel about a year ago or so. What is time, as we do say. But a lot of people might want this one. It looks like a little bit more pared down, around $85, something like that. I'm going to play a little of that long game. I might just pass altogether. I don't know if there's a ton of difference from that last Wolverine. We'll see what happens. Who knows? Catch me on a sale. Catch me at the show. I might end up pulling the trigger. We'll see what happens, like I did say. Big news this week from Thundercats. Of course, Super 7 Thundercats been putting that tease out there, putting those breadcrumbs down about a cat's lair. I almost said turtle lair. No. Thundercats, cat's lair coming. Not sure if it was going to be reaction or ultimate. Well, all points seemed that it is going to be an ultimate. We saw some pictures. I think it was 4th of July they showed one with Lion-O sitting in the chair there. I mean, showing the scale, absolutely massive. Now, it's going to be interesting with this one as what if this is basically just a big plastic shell for the most part? Just basically a shell with a few things, a couple of chairs, things like that. That would keep costs down. It's not going to be like we think of Snake Mountain. There was a lot of intricate details throughout on Snake Mountain. This could be just a front-facing facade, and then the back, pretty bare bones. I know there's been some rumors that you could buy add-ons for it, possibly. We'll see what happens, but could be a very interesting one and possibly not as expensive as we're thinking it's going to be. I mean, there's a lot of people saying this could be well over $1,000. It might be $2,000. I don't think so. I think they're going to keep that price point under $1,000. I think they go over $1,000 price point, and it's bad publicity, if that makes sense. There's going to be a lot of people tuned out. There's going to be a lot of people dogging on it. What do they think they're doing? What do they think they're doing? I think they got to keep it under $1,000. I wouldn't be shocked to see this come in at like $700, something like that. I mean, I think there is ways around this, obviously not knowing anything at all. I'm sure we're going to find out. I'm hopeful we'll see this at San Diego Comic-Con. I would have to imagine we will. I'm very excited about some of the stuff we possibly could see at San Diego Comic-Con from, of course, Super 7. Give me some Joes, give me some Simpsons, give me Thundercats, Turtles. There's so much cool stuff we can see. Hopefully I get to see that Lemmy prototype in hand. We can see that, the Slayer Minotaur. There's a lot of cool stuff. Of course, the Ghost figures. Be a perfect time to announce a Rob Halford Ultimate Edition. We'll see what Super 7's got up their sleeve here in a couple of weeks as well. But the Thundercats, I keep wanting to say Turtle Lair. Thundercats Cat's Lair coming soon. Turtle Lair, I have a feeling NECA might be announcing that one at San Diego Comic-Con. They've been rumoring that for a while. Would not be shocked to see the Turtle Lair from NECA at San Diego Comic-Con this year. We'll see what happens with that. But they weren't done with Thundercats announcement this week. We did see Jaga and Groon, basically the colors, basically like we've been seeing from some of these Thundercats figures, and then 2 regular figures as Wily Cat and Chilla. So you get 2 new figures, 2 repaints. To me, that kind of says getting the most out of your molds, keeping costs down, and also a little bit of something for everybody. Instead of just doing a straight up toy wave or a straight up regular edition wave, it's a little bit mixed between the two. Maybe not a bad business plan right there, because everybody's wallets are hurting pretty bad right now. There's a lot of people say, I just want the toy versions. Instead of having to buy 4, they just buy 2. Same thing with the other side. I just want the new versions. I only have to buy 2, not 4. So a pretty good marketing strategy there, I think, from Super 7 on this Thundercats latest wave here. But even smarter, and I've been championing this for a long time. I absolutely do not like it, but I put my business hat on and I totally understand the way it's going here. I like to buy my Super 7 stuff from Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store because, hey, I get a deal. I get to save 10%. You guys know I'm all about getting to get a deal out there. But I get to save money, but I also don't have to pay until it ships. I like that. Super 7, you got to pay and wait a year. They get to sit on your money for a year. I don't like that at all. Well, Super 7, being very smart, they've done this with the Joes, a few other things. They said, hey, here is a head pack for the brand new Super 7 Thundercats line. If you pre-order from us, you're going to get this pack of extra heads, and that's the only place you're going to get that. Brilliant business move. It's directing the hardcore fans to the Super 7, give them that money early so they can invest it, use it for whatever they need to. Just a very, very smart business tactic on the old Super 7 team right there. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it, but man, I get it, and I'll probably end up buying it from Super 7 because of that. Very, very smart move. And of course, Super 7 keeps more of the money when people buy in-house. It's no different. And I tell you guys all the time, there's so many companies right there that are working very hard. How do I bypass Walmart? How do I bypass Target? How do I give it straight to you and get more of the profits to me, the business, and some of the savings to you? People are trying to do that in everything, and it's tough to figure out. It's tough to make it cost effective, but man, people are trying to figure that out, so stay tuned for that in the future as well. Super 7's finding a way to do it right here. Definitely a different scale than Mattel, or Mattel, Hasbro. They need the Targets or Walmarts. If those crumble, they are in big, big trouble, and that goes back to our exclusives talk we talk about all the time. Why does Walmart get exclusives? Well, Walmart gets that exclusive because it gets shelf space and product of every other line that's not exclusive in those 4 walls of the Walmart store. Without exclusives, they're going to give more product space to Jazzwares or Mattel, whoever. They got to play the game, and that's not just toys. That's everybody. That's everybody in those walls. They play the game with Walmarts, Targets, you name it. It's just business 101, the toy business in these days. So there you go, right there. Moving on to a couple other things away from some Super 7. How about Hasbro? G.I. Joe, way far down the list. Well, it's not G.I. Joe June anymore, unfortunately, but the Dragonfly still chopping along, I guess we'll say. I don't know, 16,000 is going to be tough. We got about 10 days to go. And about 1,500 to get there. I mean, 14,777 as I filmed this video. So a little less, 1,300, let's call it, something like that. Can they get to that 16,000? I really hope they do. It's going to be dangerously close. It's going to be down to the wire. I don't think we're going to sniff 19,000 on this one. But 16, it is doable. It is possible. And everybody gets a better deal. If those 1,300 people come to bat and pick this up, we all get another figure. So hopefully something happens near the end. I truly do believe it'll come into the wire. It'll hit 16. We'll see what happens. There's always a push at the very end, as we do know. So more to come on that one as well. And I guess back to Super 7, I guess that'll be the last thing here. Super 7 Ultimates, Toxie, Junkyard, and Radiation Ranger showing up overseas, so they should be shipping very soon. I'm very excited about this Toxic Avenger line. I wasn't a big fan of the Toxic Avenger cartoon as a kid. I remember thinking it was kind of dumb. Same thing with the Swamp Thing one, but many years later I have a weird fondness for it. And the toy lines as well. I really want that Swamp Thing toy line from the 90s Kenner line. We'll see. Maybe one day we'll see what happens there. But I really do like the Toxic Avenger line as well. And I think I'm going to be into this. And I like that these figures look like they could just pair right with the Super 7 Ultimate Ninja Turtles as well. You could blend those universes if you want to. So I'm very excited for these. These are the ones I'm going to wait for, Entertainment Earth to pick up, save 10%, all that kind of stuff. But those should be shipping fairly soon. So much more to come on those if you're into those kind of things right there. Should say here on the channel, we're dangerously close to 31,000 subscribers. Just a few to go. Once we do that, we will do a special top 10 video on the channel, so stay tuned for that as well. But there it is. That is the toy news. A little bit softer, of course, with San Diego Comic-Con looming in the horizon. But we'll be covering all that stuff, boots on the ground, checking it all out, trying to figure out how to post videos. Do I just go live there? It'll probably not have a good cell signal or whatever, but maybe we just do a live show. I don't know. We'll figure something out. We'll have all kinds of stuff on the channel. And a lot of people going over there to see just wrestling. Man, I'm going to see wrestling. I'm going to see NECA. I'm going to see Hasbro, Super 7, Funko, Entertainment Earth. I could go on for days. I want to see a lot of stuff there. I'm going to make the most of it. My old buddy David C. Anderson, he's coming to help me out. So we're going to be two partners in crime. So look us up if you're out there at San Diego Comic-Con. We'll be poking around somewhere, I'm sure. So more to come on that, like I said, on the channel. And now we're going to finish it off with a little album of the week. You guys know me. I love a good album. And this week, some good old brothers out there. Of course, you guys know I love me some Night Demon. But another band that's toured recently with Night Demon that I do enjoy. And I talked about it, Todd McFarlane being the hardest working man in the toy industry, me the hardest working man in the review industry. Well, you got old Haunt, old Trevor, the lead singer, really the leader of Haunt. He is the hardest working man in the music industry. Album after album after album. He does not waste any time. But one of my favorite albums from him is Beautiful Disaster. The band is Haunt. The album is Beautiful Disaster. Very cool, very new wave of traditional heavy metal, not thrash metal, not super hard fast metal, somewhere in the middle. But if you love some of that kind of stuff and you've never heard Haunt, man, check out some Haunt. Beautiful Disaster was the one I was playing this week, but they got like 9 albums, something like that at this point. A lot of different stuff, a little bit of something for everybody out there. Check out Haunt if you are so inclined. So there it is. There's the toy news of the week. A very, very busy toy news of the week, even with San Diego Comic-Con kind of people holding some stuff back. But we'll see what happens in the next few weeks here on the channel and at San Diego Comic-Con. But let me know what you thought about the toy news of the week. Anything you're excited for, anything you're waiting for, let me know in the comments down below. Of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell as we got videos every single day. And don't forget about the Patreon giveaway, Seth Rollins, and all the Patreon content. Truly your best way to support the channel and all the work that goes into it. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget to hit me up on social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and I guess Threads. I signed up. I don't know what it's going to be and what it's going to do, but Threads is up and it's the same as the Instagram. So if you want to head over there as well, you can do that. So there it is. There's the toy news of the week. You know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into another weekend.